All right, strap yourselves in for today's deep dive.
We're going deep on DeepSeek.
This Chinese AI startup, they're making waves, and we're
Hmm.
talking tsunami-level impact here.
Not just a ripple.
We've got a mountain of articles, reports, analyses, you name it, all about DeepSeek. Know what you're thinking?
Oh, another AI company. What's the big deal?
Right. Another day, another AI company. But trust me on this one. DeepSeek is a different beast altogether.
They really are. What DeepSeek's doing is they're taking on the big guys.
Yeah, the big dogs.
OpenAI, Google, the whole lot. And they're doing it in a totally different way. Think open source, super efficient models,
Yeah.
top performance, without the eye-watering price tag.
It's like they figured out how to hack the system, but in a good way. Imagine that. A world where building a cutting-edge AI doesn't cost you an arm and a leg.
That's DeepSeek's secret sauce.
And they're not just all talk, right? They've got the results to prove it.
Oh, absolutely.
Take DeepSeek V2. Landed a sweet 7th place on the University of Waterloo's Tiger Lab LLM leaderboard.
Not too shabby. And they even saw a couple of malicious attacks on their systems.
Whoa. Wait, like someone tried to hack them.
Yeah, that happened. Guess that's what happens when you've got tech that good, right? You know, makes you a target.
It's kind of a backhanded compliment, isn't it? Like, hey, your stuff is so good, I'm going to try to steal it.
I suppose so.
Okay, but before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's rewind a bit. How did DeepSeek even start? Where did this all begin?
Well, the founder, Liang Wenfeng, he's got a pretty interesting backstory. Used to be a hedge fund manager, believe it or not.
Wow, talk about a career change.
Yeah.
From finance to AI, that's quite a jump.
It is. But back in 2023, he took the plunge and founded DeepSeek. Their first big splash was DeepSeek Coder, a model specifically for, well, coding.
So they were focused on developers from the get-go.
Right from the beginning. And the thing that really makes them stand out, they went all in on open source right off the bat.
So it wasn't like one day they just exploded onto the scene.
Not at all. It's been a steady climb. Releasing model after model, DeepSeek LLM, DeepSeek V2, then DeepSeek V3, each one pushing the limits a little further.
They were kind of laying the groundwork, refining their approach with each iteration.
Exactly.
And then, boom, early 2025, they dropped DeepSeek R1.
Things got interesting, that's for sure.
That's when all the heads started turning. Silicon Valley probably had a collective mini heart attack.
You could say that.
DeepSeek R1.
Yeah.
The thinking model. I know. We throw around phrases like AI revolution all the time. But with DeepSeek R1, it feels like the hype might actually be real.
This time it's different. DeepSeek R1, it doesn't just process language, it shows real reasoning skills.
It's like it's actually thinking, not just mimicking thought.
Right. Puts it up there with OpenAI's O1 model in terms of capability.
That's some serious AI firepower. And didn't I read somewhere that they also managed to topple ChatGPT on the US iOS App Store?
Yep. Overtook it with their free chatbot app. Quite a feat.
Okay, spill the beans. What's the secret sauce behind this thinking machine? What makes DeepSeek R1 tick?
Under the hood, you've got this thing called Mixture of Experts, or MOE for short. It sounds fancy, right?
It does sound pretty impressive. So is that like a secret society of AI experts working behind the scenes?
Not quite. Think of it like this. The model has 671 billion parameters. That's a lot, right?
My brain hurts just thinking about that many of anything.
But the clever part is, only about 37 billion get activated for each task.
So it's not just brute force. It's more about working smart, not hard.
Exactly. Efficiency is key. This way, you get the power when you need it, but you don't waste resources on things that aren't relevant.
And that's got to be part of how they're so cost effective, right?
Right. They're not just throwing processing power at every problem. They're being strategic.
Okay, so that's the architecture. But what about their training methods? I heard those are pretty innovative too.
Absolutely. For DeepSeek R1, they ditched the usual supervised fine-tuning in the early stages and went with reinforcement learning.
That's pretty unusual, isn't it? Most models rely heavily on that supervised fine-tuning.
It is, but their approach seems to be a big part of why DeepSeek R1 is so good at reasoning.
So it's not just about the data they feed it, it's how they teach it to learn.
Right. They're pushing the boundaries of how AI models are trained, and it's paying off.
All right, enough of the tech talk. Let's see this thing in action. What can this thinking model actually do? Give me some concrete examples.
Okay, first up, math. This thing crushed some serious math competitions. We're talking near 80% pass rate on the M and over 97% on the Math 500.
Hang on. Those are some seriously tough exams. Even for humans, those are a big deal.
Exactly. It's performing at a level that rivals some of the best math students out there.
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't stand a chance against it in a math off.
Yeah.
But it's not just a one-trick pony, right? Math isn't the only thing it excels at.
Nope, not even close. Coding is another area where it's blowing the competition out of the water. Achieved an ELO rating of 2029 on platforms similar to Codeforce's.
Hold up, 2029. That's not just good, that's getting into professional territory.
It is, and then you've got its performance on reasoning tasks, understanding long contexts. It even beats its predecessor, DeepSeek v3, on benchmarks like frames and arena hard.
They're constantly raising the bar, aren't they?
It's pretty clear DeepSeek is onto something big here.
Okay, so they built this amazing model that thinks, solves complex math problems, writes code like a pro, understands massive chunks of text. What's the catch?
There's got to be a downside, right? No system is perfect.
Well, no system is perfect, that's for sure.
So spill it. What are the weaknesses? What are we missing here?
There have been some reports of occasional language mixing, especially when it's dealing with multiple languages at once.
So it might accidentally slip into Spanish mid-sentence. That's kind of funny, actually.
It can happen. And then there's the issue of prompt sensitivity. You know how you phrase your request can affect how well the model performs?
So it's a bit finicky.
Yeah.
It needs clear instructions. You could say that. But honestly, these are pretty minor issues when you look at the bigger picture, considering all that DeepSeek R1 can do.
Yeah. I mean, if those are the biggest complaints, they're doing pretty well. Okay, so they've built this incredible, cost-effective model that's shaking up the whole AI world. But here's the million-dollar question. How did they achieve this level of efficiency? What's the secret ingredient in their recipe?
That's where things get really interesting. Let's dive into some of the strategies they've used. And one key element is their approach to data and training. In fact, that leads us to this fascinating aha moment that happened during the development of DeepSeek R1.
Aha, moment. Okay, now you've got my attention. I love a good origin story. This is where we see the magic happen, right?
It is. This is where things get really interesting. You could say that. So they were training DeepSeek R10, the model that came before DeepSeek R1, and they noticed something really weird. The model, it was like it was taking its time to think.
Wait, hold on. The AI was pausing, like it was pondering something. It's a little creepy, but also kind of awesome.
It was. What they found was that when DeepSeek R10 was working on a tough problem, it learned to shift gears, kind of, like it would put more processing power into rethinking its strategy.
Like a human taking a step back and saying, maybe there's a better way to do this.
Exactly, and that's a big deal. It's a hint that AI, it's not just about recognizing patterns anymore, it's evolving, it's getting closer to real problem solving.
Okay, that is seriously mind-blowing. But let's bring it back down to earth for a second. All this AI wizardry, what does it actually mean for everyday people? How is DeepSeek going to change our lives?
Well, the possibilities, they're pretty much endless. Think about education, for example. DeepSeek R1, it could be the engine for a whole new generation of AI tutors. Tutors that adapt to how each student learns best, giving explanations that actually make sense.
So no more slogging through textbooks or falling asleep in boring lectures. Sign me up for that.
And what about software development? Think of the impact there. DeepSeek R1 could make writing code and debugging way more streamlined, which means developers can work faster, be more creative.
It's like having an AI coding buddy, right? One that catches your mistakes and even suggests improvements.
Yeah, exactly. And content creation, too. The way DeepSeek R1 understands and generates text, it could lead to some really amazing tools. Tools for writers, journalists, marketers. Imagine how much easier it could be to create high-quality content.
So we're all going to have our own personal AI Shakespeare. I'm not sure if that's exciting or terrifying.
Could be a bit of both, I guess.
Yeah.
And then there's research, of course. DeepSeek R1 could be a game changer for scientists, researchers in every field imaginable. The way it can reason, analyze data, it could lead to some major breakthroughs.
It's like giving researchers a superpower, helping them make discoveries faster than ever before.
Exactly. But here's the thing that I think is even more significant. It's not just the technology itself, it's DeepSeek's commitment to open source. That's what has the potential to really revolutionize the whole AI industry.
Okay, hold on. Explain this whole open source thing to me like I'm 5. Why is it such a big deal? Because I'm hearing a lot of buzz about it, but I'm not sure I totally get it.
Imagine if the most powerful AI tools weren't locked away in some vault, controlled by the big tech companies. Imagine if they were available for anyone to use, to change, to build upon. That's what open source is all about.
So it's about leveling the playing field, right?
Yeah.
Giving everyone access to these incredible tools, letting anyone with a good idea contribute.
Exactly. DeepSeek, they're breaking down those walls. They're fostering collaboration, building a more inclusive AI ecosystem.
That all sounds pretty utopian, but I'm guessing there are some people who aren't too thrilled about this whole open source thing,
Okay.
especially those big tech companies who are used to calling all the shots.
Well, there are definitely concerns. Some people worry that open source AI, it could make it easier for bad actors to exploit the technology.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like giving everyone a powerful tool without any safety instructions.
Right. So it's really important to talk about the ethical implications. We need to figure out how to make sure the technology is used responsibly.
So it's not enough to just make the technology available. We need to create a culture of responsibility around it.
Exactly. And there's also the issue of sustainability. Open source projects, a lot of times they rely on volunteers,
Mhm.
and that can be tough to maintain in the long run.
For DeepSeek, they seem to be aware of that. They've been looking for partners, collaborations to help keep their models going, to provide support.
Right. And they've been open about how much it costs to train and run these models, encouraging others to pitch in, to contribute resources.
So it's a team effort. It's not just DeepSeek doing their own thing. They're building a whole community around this technology.
Exactly. And that community, it's growing fast. Even some of the big tech companies, they're starting to come around to see the value in open source, realizing that collaborating, tapping into a wider pool of talent, it can lead to some amazing results.
So DeepSeek might actually be changing the whole industry, not just with their tech, but with their philosophy too.
It's definitely a possibility. They're shaking things up, challenging the way things have always been done. And in a field like AI, that's always a good thing.
Okay, so we've talked about this whole open source movement, the good, the bad, the potential risks. But let's get back to DeepSeek's incredible efficiency for a minute. How are they managing to do so much with what seems like fewer resources than their competitors? Is it just the MOE architecture and their unique training methods? Is there something else going on?
Those are definitely key factors. But there's another piece of the puzzle that often gets overlooked. It's the way DeepSeek approaches data, how they select it and manage it. Remember those 14.8 trillion tokens we mentioned earlier?
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of data. It's hard to even wrap your head around a number that big.
Well, they didn't just gather that data randomly. There's a method to their madness.
So they're being picky eaters when it comes to data. They're not just feeding their models anything they can find.
Exactly. They've developed some really sophisticated techniques for curating their data, making sure it's high quality, relevant information.
So it's not just about the quantity of the data, it's about the quality. It's like instead of feeding their AI fast food, they're giving it a gourmet meal.
I like that analogy. And this focus on data quality, it has a ripple effect. It allows them to train their models faster, more efficiently, which means lower costs and better performance.
It's like a virtuous
Yeah.
cycle. Better data leads to better models, which leads to even better data, and so on. It's a win-win situation.
Right. And this whole data-centric approach, it's not just something that data scientists do. It's ingrained in the whole company culture. It's something everyone at DeepSeek is thinking about, from the engineers to the marketers.
So everyone at DeepSeek is a data nerd at heart. That's pretty cool.
It is. It really shows how committed they are to efficiency and excellence.
But data alone doesn't explain the whole story, right? There's the human element too. They have a pretty unique way of building their team.
They do. They've been really strategic about it, recruiting top talent from all sorts of backgrounds. They've got these bright, ambitious grads from the best universities in China, but they've also brought in people with experience in fields outside of computer science.
So we're talking mathematicians, physicists, maybe even philosophers.
Exactly. Their philosophy is that a diverse team brings a wider range of perspectives and ideas, which ultimately leads to more robust and innovative AI models.
It's like they're creating a melting pot of knowledge and expertise, a brain trust of sorts. It's no wonder they're coming up with such groundbreaking ideas.
And that interdisciplinary approach, it's reflected in their AI models. DeepSeek R1, it's not just a number-crunching machine. It's a system that's designed to understand language, logic, even human creativity.
It's like they're trying to build an AI that can think like a human, but with the processing power of a supercomputer. It's like the ultimate hybrid.
That's a pretty good way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's this combination of ambition and a focus on efficiency that makes DeepSeek So fascinating and potentially disruptive. They're a force to be reckoned with in the AI world.
So what does all of this mean for the future of the AI industry? Is DeepSeek going to single-handedly change the game? What are your predictions?
It's still too early to say for sure, but one thing is crystal clear. DeepSeek, they're challenging the status quo. They're proving that there's more than one way to build and use powerful AI models.
And they're inspiring others to think differently, to
Mhm.
try new things, to question the assumptions that have been around for so long.
It's a really exciting time to be watching this space. Who knows what kind of innovations we'll see in the years to come.
Well, on that note, let's take a moment to think about everything we've learned about DeepSeek and try to connect the dots. Yeah, we really dug deep today, didn't we? From how DeepSeek got started, to their tech, to this whole open source philosophy thing.
It has been quite a journey, and I think what really sticks out to me is how they're just not afraid to shake things up.
Yeah, they're not playing by the same old rules, are they? Taking risks, experimenting, pushing the limits of what AI can do.
Definitely not. And it's really refreshing to see that, you know,
It is.
especially in a field where it often feels like the big companies with the big budgets are calling all the shots.
Right. It's like they're saying, hey, we can do it differently. We can do it better. And their success really shows that you don't need unlimited resources to make a real impact.
That's true. Sometimes all it takes is a fresh perspective, a willingness to think outside the box.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Right.
And it's not just about saving money. It's about making AI more accessible for everyone.
Absolutely. That open source approach, it's a game changer. It's like opening up the world of AI to anyone with a good idea and a passion to make something new.
Exactly. And it's exciting to think about what that could lead to. We might see a whole wave of new AI applications and solutions coming from places we never expected.
Absolutely. Who knows? Maybe the next big AI breakthrough will come from a couple of students tinkering in their dorm room.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's like a David and Goliath story, isn't it? This little startup taking on the AI giants.
It is, and it's not just about competition either. DeepSeek is building a community, bringing people together in the AI field, and that's something that benefits everyone.
Definitely. By sharing their knowledge, their technology, they're encouraging others to experiment, to learn to collaborate. It's a much more open and inclusive way of developing AI, and I think that's something we need more of.
I agree. So what do you think all of this means for the future of the AI industry? Is DeepSeek a sign of things to come? Is this the beginning of a new era of open collaboration?
It's hard to say for sure, but I think DeepSeek is a pretty strong indicator that the old way of doing things is starting to crumble. The closed source model where companies keep their secrets locked away just doesn't make sense anymore. Not when the pace of innovation is so fast.
It really doesn't. To stay ahead of the curve, to keep pushing the boundaries, we need to work together. We need to share knowledge and resources.
And let's not forget the ethical implications of AI. This is powerful stuff. We need to make sure we're developing it responsibly.
Absolutely. And open source can actually be a powerful tool for ethical AI. By making everything transparent, by opening up the algorithms and models to scrutiny, we can hold each other accountable. We can identify and mitigate potential biases.
It's like we're all working together to make sure AI is used for good, that it benefits everyone.
Exactly. And I think that's really what DeepSeek is all about. Collaboration, transparency, and a belief that AI has the power to make the world a better place.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of DeepSeek, let me leave you with this. The AI landscape is changing, and DeepSeek is right at the forefront of that change. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible, challenging the status quo and inspiring a new generation of AI innovators. The future of AI is wide open, and DeepSeek is showing us what's possible. So stay curious, stay informed, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to make the next big breakthrough.
It's an exciting time to be involved in this field, that's for sure.
That's it for today's deep dive into DeepSeek. We hope you enjoy the show and learn something new along the way. Until next time, keep exploring, keep innovating, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.